Hey everybody, Andy from James Neave. Part 2 of my video just talking about the new Renters' Rights Bill. In this one we're just going to cover the grounds for possession. So this is how landlords are going to be able to apply to have the tenancies ended and regain possession if they need to. If you've missed part 1, I did a brief summary over what is changing and the expected changes that are happening, and the timelines which we're expecting this all to come into law at some point before or around spring 2025. Filming this December 24, so it's going to come around really quickly. So we've got to be aware of it. We can't stick our head in the sand. It is happening. Grounds for possession. So these are going to be the new grounds for applying for possession of our properties via estate agents or landlords, however you run your tenancies. So I'm not going to go through all of them because there were quite a few pages of them and quite a lot of them I didn't feel were relevant, but ones that I think are relevant to be aware of. Occupation by the landlord or family. So if you need the rental property back because you are going to be moving into it yourself, or someone within your close family is going to be moving into it, you can serve a 4-month notice period, but we cannot use this ground within the first 12 months of a new tenancy. So that's quite interesting. So you need to be aware of that. But if you're going to let your property out, you can't ask for it back to move into yourself until after the first 12 months of the tenancy, and then you've got to serve a 4-month notice period. Sale or dwelling of house. So if the landlord wishes or needs to sell the property, again, you've got to serve a 4-month notice period. And we cannot use this clause within the first 12 months of a new tenancy. So again, gone are the days of, I think, us putting tenants in, whilst landlords trying to sell or trying to find buyers. I think if you commit to a rental, you're going to have to be committed to it for, what's that going to work out? It's roughly about the first year and a half, isn't it? Taking into account the 12 months and notice. Moving on, we have severe antisocial or criminal behaviour. So if a tenant has been convicted of a type of offence listed in the grounds and has breached relevant orders, landlords can start legal proceedings immediately for possession. So that's quite interesting. That's changed obviously to how the law works at the moment. No right to rent. So if it sounds that any of the tenants don't have the correct immigration or right to rent statuses, landlords can evict or try to evict with a 2-week notice period. Rent arrears, so this is obviously a big one within the industry. If a tenant has at least 3 months rent arrears, both at the time the notice is served and at the time of the possession hearing, then that would be classed as a mandatory ground for possession. You would need to serve a 4-week notice period to start that process. We then have what's called discretionary grounds. So these are ones where the judge doesn't have to award possession if you end up in court, but they have the option to, depending on evidence and the case that's put forward. So this one actually says that if there's any rent arrears, you can go for possession and you have to serve 4 weeks notice for this one. Persistent arrears is another ground. So if the tenant has persistently delayed paying their rent, again, it's a 4-week notice period. Breach of tenancy. So if there's any tenant is guilty of breaching terms of a tenancy agreement, that's a 2-week notice period. And various other bits. Antisocial behaviour, it says that you can actually proceed immediately with notice. Yeah, there's lots of actually quite interesting ones in there which actually feel a little bit more flexible than the current system, which is interesting. So yeah, look, I think, again, changes are coming. We've got to be aware of it. It's obviously going to change how the process and the systems work and feel. At James Neave, we're obviously going to do our best to help our clients and make sure that everyone's aware and knows what's happening. If you, whether you are a client of mine or not, if you want to talk about this and chat this through, do give me a call. Andy from James Neave, 01932 221 331. Thank you.